Movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom. He's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a spectacle. From San Francisco to Long Island. 'Cause nothing's better than a motion video. Listen now.
It's Movie Time is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm K G Kline.
and this is It's Movie Time. And thank you for the tip on the Housemaid. First of all, you know I'd like the ladies, the leading ladies.
Oh, wonderful cast in this movie.
Amanda Seyfried and yeah. I should know Sweeney, yes, and Sydney Sweeney.
And Sydney Sweeney.
And this is a double barrel casting of these two.
It is a powerful casting.
Do you think there's any similarity to Thelma and Louise?
No, I don't see that so much as, well, we'll go back a step.
Yeah.
You and I have frequently been at odds about these movies that are based on best-selling books. So when we've talked in the past about movies like Where the Crawdad Sings, It Ends With Us, Regretting You, On Wild Horses, and I can go on and on. These New York Times best-selling novels turned into movies. You frequently have found them to be sort of shallow, a little, not your taste. But I tend to like these movies. Now,
Okay.
Would you agree that you cannot make a book a New York Times bestseller based only on marketing?
Yes, I think so.
There has to be
People are way
substance
too
to
smart,
it.
right?
So
They're not dumb.
readers don't buy millions of copies of a book
Sure.
if the book isn't good. It doesn't matter whose name is on the cover, it doesn't matter who's recommending it. If the book is not good, it's not going to turn into a New York Times bestseller. And all those movies I just mentioned were all based on New York Times bestsellers. And I tend to like these movies because, if nothing else, they're going to have a very tight, strong script. They're going to be based on a book that had to have something going for it to be turned into a film, regardless of who gets cast. And most of these movies, because there's an investment in this when you're putting together a New York Times bestseller into a movie, you want to have a good, strong, recognizable cast.
Well, and Frida McFadden, who wrote the novel,
Yes.
I mean, certainly is bringing in some real powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Because the people sitting behind us, she'd already read the novel. I don't know if there's more than one, but
There's two novels and one short story.
right, okay, and boy, it's a kind of boilerplate setup. All right, you see these two very attractive female leads, and one is living in a die-for house in Long Island,
Yeah.
and the other is a young woman who is just trying to avoid being sent back to prison.
Yeah, just out of prison and living in her car, living rough.
Right.
You polar opposites, and they have to face off. Now, what made this a particularly difficult book to film was that it has an unreliable narrator in the young girl who is becoming the housemaid. The book tells it from her point of view, and she is not always accurate in how she remembers things. And that becomes very difficult because a movie is very difficult to film in an unreliable way. What you see on screen is taken as factual, unless you see two completely different views depicted on screen. You take what you see usually as the truth.
But you're a sophisticated viewer, you know this from the get-go. So, I mean, if you and I are very similar in this. Whatever the director wants us to do, we'll go there. Even if it's an unreliable narrator, it's just part of the whole crazy mix of what's going to happen when she drives up with putting on her glasses to put on her front, that she's coming to take this job.
That she's a college grad student, got a little short on money, and trying to get this job.
It is great. And along the way, I really like the fact that it has reasonable twists to it.
It does.
There are things we don't know, and when we do know them, they fit.
We are rewarded in this because, just like in any good New York Times bestseller thriller, we are not going to see the twists coming. It's not that predictable. So as you watch this movie, there are little rewards that you get that oh, I didn't see that coming. It's very satisfying. I'm always happy when I'm seeing a film and somebody catches me by surprise, because I try to overthink. I try to think, if I were writing this, what would I do? And a lot of times I can guess ahead, and what should be a twisty, weavy movie becomes very predictable for me. But not so much this one. I really did sit and feel very satisfied watching this film.
There's word that Amanda may get a nomination for another movie.
We have Amanda coming out again next week in a very powerful musical called The Testament of Ann Lee, based on the story of the woman who founded the Shaker movement back in the 18th century. And it's a film that has been getting a lot of attention at film festivals, very heavy R rating because they've decided to be relatively explicit with several birth sequences. And this was Seyfield's desire to do this, to show everything very graphically, not to hold back.
Well, big surprise because they died out since they are not allowed to have sex.
No, there are still 3 or 4 Shakers still left
really
in the world.
New England
Yes.
somewhere.
They're in New England. There's a couple that are, I think they're over 100.
The Shaker Village is down near Louisville. It's just a fantastic restored or kept, preserved Shaker Village.
The Shaker Village.
You go into their big meeting area.
Yeah.
They have one staircase one way and one the other way. Men, women.
Men and women, yeah, and little portholes where the men and women could look out and make sure nobody was touching and nobody was flirting with one another.
But you're true, it's not completely chaste because if you join them, you may have children.
Oh, no.
No.
If you're a Shaker, you cannot have children.
Well, but if you join them, if you weren't born a Shaker.
Oh, if you weren't, you can come into the Shaker
right.
with children, but then your marriage is annulled. Your children were no longer yours. But no, they were successful for many years.
Well, anyway,
getting back to our movie, The Housemaid.
The Housemaid.
Yeah, now I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, a lot of women especially, who read this book or got this book in the Book of the Month Club or in book group and are expecting this movie. And I'm going to say it's going to live up to your expectations. They obviously can't be the unreliable narrator, but
it's the first time in a long time that Lennox was almost packed.
Yes.
I mean, I have not seen that in a long time.
Same at Easton.
These are people who have read the book and or heard, so there's a good buzz on it.
Now, was your audience also primarily women?
No, actually couples. Very interesting.
Oh, really?
Interesting question. Yeah, both couples. The male role here, played by the last name is Sklenar.
Not somebody I'm particularly familiar
Brandon Sklenar, Sklenar, who has done a lot of TV work.
Okay.
That's why we haven't seen him.
Okay.
But he's like Hugh Jackman ramped up. My God.
Well, he's got the $1 million smile.
Oh my God!
That the role required.
And I don't know how much time during the day he pumps up, but he is pumped out. He's got to be at least 6'4".
Oh yeah.
And so he's an imposing presence. And why I opened up with a question about Thelma and Louise is that there's a role to be played by our male here that is almost the equivalent of the roles played by these two ladies.
Yeah.
But it's a slow burn. We begin to see more and more of him.
Oh yeah.
As it comes along, and I like it because I think you even suggested it. There's something about the male presence in this one that's terribly important and modern.
Well, the movie is really about how men treat women.
Yes.
You know, you don't expect that. For the first half hour, 45 minutes of this movie, you think it's going to be about a crazy, rich housewife and a woman on probation desperately searching for a job. But we don't want to give away the twist. But ultimately, this movie is much more similar, I think, to the movie Where the Crawdads Sing. There was a lot of resemblance there. And although Crawdad was really about a woman and a man, and this one was about two women and a man, it reinforces the same themes that we saw in Crawdad. So if folks out there who saw Where the Crawdads Sing like that movie, you're going to like this movie too.
Right, and the times have changed. And our women here are stronger than you would have expected in 20, 30 years ago. I mean, 20 or 30 years ago in this kind of a thriller, it doesn't necessarily turn out well for the women. It doesn't always turn out well.
It didn't in Vertigo, and we can invoke Hitchcock here.
Thank you, yeah.
And there's elements of that Vertigo to this as well.
I think you're so right.
Yeah, right down to the very end. But I would say that what we're dealing with is two very strong women trying to survive in a desperate situation. So you're right in that it is Thelma and Louise in that, although Thelma and Louise was about two women bonding, and these two women definitely do not bond. If anything, they're at odds throughout the whole film. But yes, that relationship between the women and the men is consistent with Thelma and Louise, very consistent with Vertigo. And it's very, very interesting to see how this plays out, because this is really a book that was favored by women. The audience that I saw was about 70% women. And that's not to say that guys shouldn't go to this. I think guys are going to get a lot out of this movie too. Goodness knows you and I did.
Oh, yeah.
But this is definitely a film about women overcoming odds.
Yes, yes.
Without giving anything away.
No,
it's
right.
about overcoming the odds, overcoming their situation, and eventually prevailing.
And there are a couple of things before we go that really impressed me on this. First of all, as a cautionary tale for women who go for the superficial in men, right? And there are so many superficial things about this husband.
Well, and I was getting to that point. One fault with this movie and with the elements of the book is the supporting cast, the rich women in this Hudson Valley, sleepy little Hudson Valley town, are so superficial and so stereotypical.
Right.
They're indistinguishable from one another.
His mom.
Oh, his mom. His mom's
like
a pivotal.
mannequin.
Oh yeah, well, she's a pivotal character in this because she is the one that explains why he is the way he is.
And you bring up the question that we'll take when we come back. And if people want to hear more, and they always want to hear more about you, about what you have to say, and they have to go to our podcast. And this is Back Talk, and it'll be on WCBE.org and on the podcast experience. So, K G Kline, what do you recommend concerning The Housemaid?
I would recommend the movie. I think the movie does an excellent job of adapting the book. I think it's a very tight script, very well acted. Go see it.
And I think it's a date movie.
Oh yeah.
I think it's really good. One that will provoke discussion. And
yeah, guys, you're not being dragged to Mamma
No.
Mia.
Yeah.
This is a genuinely good, interesting film, and guys are going to get something out of this as well.
It's movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to